Good evening, everyone. Thanks for coming out tonight. What a great turnout. I'm Paul Cameron. I'm the Town Energy Coordinator for Brattleboro, and I also work for the Brattleboro Energy Committee. And I'm also the Wyndham Regional Coordinator for the Home Energy Challenge. I want to welcome Paul Markowitz, who's the Community Program Manager for Efficiency Vermont. He's come down from Montpelier to talk with us. We're really excited about this challenge. Really looking forward to ramping up the number of weatherization projects in our region and saving our friends and neighbors some money on their home heating bills, as well as making their homes more comfortable. So at this point, I'm going to turn over the training to Paul.
Is that if you break up speeches and PowerPoint presentations, which have numbing effect on some people, with entertainment that sometimes at least they're paying attention for 5 minutes. So I just have a little ditty that I revised here. I'm gonna weatherize a shanty, insulate and seal it good, reduce my carbon footprint, just like I knew I would. I'm gonna weatherize a shanty, mama, and save some mega buckaroos. All right. I know when you go home tonight, you're going to go to your partner. What did you learn tonight? I don't remember anything, but the guy on their mind, he was pretty good. I promise you, you're going to be entertained already a little bit. You're going to maybe learn a little bit, right? And hopefully you'll even feel a little more prepared for the task at hand in terms of helping your friends and neighbors save energy. Now, here's what we're going to talk about. I'm going to start out with an overview of the Home Energy Challenge. Building science. We're going to give you a little primer on how homes lose heat and what you can do to save energy in your home, some of the measures. And Jonathan Dancing, right here, a home performance contractor, is going to cover that piece of the presentation tonight. And he's also going to talk about the Home Performance Energy Star program. And that's the statewide program of private contractors that are certified, that are out there providing these services to homeowners. We're also going to hear from Maura. Let's see Maura. Yep. Maura Campbell's going to talk a little bit. Maura is with Neighborhoods program, and they are planning on expanding their program down here to Wyndham County. It's still waiting for approval, but if that happens, that's going to be good news for Wyndham County. She's going to talk to you a little bit about that. And then we're going to talk a little bit about message and pitch. And what is the message? People ask me, how do I sell this thing, And so we're going to talk to you a little bit about that, as well as, whether you're going door to door, or you're making a phone call, or whether you stop somebody in the, in the Shaws or whatever. You have Shaws down here? No. Shop and Save. Hannaford Brothers. The co-op. Oh God. How un-PC of me. If you're in the co-op and you're shopping and you've got 3 minutes to talk to somebody, what's your pitch? So we're going to actually practice. We're going to give a little chance to role play with your neighbors and have some fun. I forgot you're going to also have fun tonight, hopefully, right? So part of the job of the volunteers part of your job is to help recruit more volunteers. The more volunteers, the more people you have reaching out to members of the community, the more successful you're going to be. So we're going to talk a little bit about volunteer recruitment. And then the last thing we're going to talk about, we're going to walk you through conducting a home energy visit. And a home energy visit is where teams of 2 people go into a home, identify energy-saving opportunities, they're free, and sit down with the homeowner and identify, basically saying, here's what we found. And you're basically building a case, if the case is to be made, that they have a lot of opportunities to save energy, call a professional. That's what you're trying to do. Those are the people who are like, oh, I don't know, it's a a lot of money. Why do I want to do that? It seems like a lot of hassle. Well, let me come out to your house. We'll do a visit. Take an hour of your time, and we'll see. Maybe there's something maybe there's something there, maybe there's not. Let's do a visit. We'll sit down with you. So, the Home Energy Challenge, this is a statewide challenge. It's implemented by Efficiency Vermont in partnership with the Vermont Energy and Climate Action Network. And that is a network of town energy committees. There are over 100 now, it might be 110, and another 50 or so energy coordinators. So well over half the towns in the state are represented by either a committee or coordinator. And basically, a lot of you in this room are part of that network. I would dare say most of the people, your committee or organization is part of that network. It's a town-by-town challenge, but we actually have 6 regions. So in this region, it's basically the towns within Windham County is a region unto itself. And you'll be competing against the other towns in your region. And in this region, also, make sure you probably understood, but Paul Cameron of Brattleboro Climate Protection is the regional coordinator. We're going to explain a little bit what that means a little bit later. Okay. So, why are we bothering to do this challenge right now? The state set a goal, the legislature set a goal back in 2008 of trying to weatherize 80,000 homes by the year 2020. Okay. We're falling way short of that goal. In order to achieve that goal, we need to be doing 3% of the homes a year. We're doing about 1% of the homes or less per year. And that includes the low-income weatherization program. So we're falling way short of the goal. And just to give you some context, 80,000 homes is 1/4 of the homes in the state of Vermont. Okay? So if anybody thinks this is like an ambitious goal, I'm going to tell you I think it's a timid goal. Because at that rate, we're going to weatherize all our homes by the year 2080 or something like that. I don't think we can afford that on a lot of levels, right? Anyone know what the price of oil was? Anybody want to guess what the price of fuel oil was in 1999? Okay, you can do your math right now. Go ahead. 99 cents a gallon, right? What is it now? We're paying $4 up in Montpelier. I don't know what you're paying down here, right? So it's quadrupled, right? 13 years, right? Anybody think the price of oil is going down over the long term? No. That 3% goal, that's where we got that. And so the idea is every town that participates, its goal has a target of trying to weatherize 3% of the year-round residences, or I would say living units in your home. So in your town, that includes single-family detached homes, condos, apartments, whatever. Wherever somebody lives in a unit, as defined by the Census Bureau, that's where the 3% comes from. And basically what's not included in there is seasonal homes as part of your target. Okay, so if somebody lives in a seasonal home, they get their home done, it counts toward your goal. It's just not figured in the 3% of the number of homes, okay? Because very, very tough market to try and get second homeowners to get their homes weatherized. The projects that count toward that is Home Performance with Energy Star, and that's the program of certified contractors, private businesses around the state, certified. Efficiency Vermont manages that program for the state of Vermont. It's a national program. We manage this kind of program for the state. So it has to go through a home performance contractor. And there's a lot of reasons why we're encouraging people to do that. And we'll hear a little bit more. But 2 of them are making sure you're getting energy savings. Also, even more important, is making sure health and safety aspects of when you start fooling around with your home, making sure the health and safety aspects are really taken care of. The town in Windham County that gets the most homes weatherized as a percentage of the year-round residences will win a prize, and I'm going to talk about that in a minute. And also another way that we want to measure success is participation. How good a job did you do in terms of reaching out to the people in your community? And we're going to measure that by these pledge cards. Probably there's some over there. Basically, where we're asking people to send in a card or fill it out online, committing to take some type of action related to energy efficiency. And we'll get those in, and we'll actually count and measure, and that's one way we can actually measure what kind of job you do in terms of participation levels in your community. So 2 ways we're measuring success: number of home performance jobs completed, number of pledge cards submitted. Okay? And so 67 towns have signed up. Actually, let's do that really quick. I wanted to start out. Just go around the room and say first name and town you're from, so the name who's here, okay? Go ahead.
Beatrice Lake, Brattleboro.
Kenfield, Demerson.
Katie, Dummerston.
Guy, Rockingham.
Lisa Holderness, Guilford.
Mike Marcy, Guilford.
Conrad Shelton, Guilford.
Aaron Putney.
Yada Putney.
Can't hear.
Yada Putney.
Stewart, Dummerston.
Chris Dummerston.
Michael, Brattleboro.
Alice Putney.
Kara Brattleboro.
Tad Montgomery, Brattleboro.
Kelly Brattleboro.
Mary Brattleboro.
Eric Kruger, Dummerston.
Will Londonderry.
John Peru.
Hard to get across the aisle. Go ahead.
Jim from Brattleboro.
Kathleen Brattleboro. Carolina Brattleboro.
Bill Guilford.
Fred, Dummerston.
Teresa Rockingham. Virginia Guilford.
Laura, Rutland, actually Burlington is where I live, but I'm here from Rutland.
Yes, Brightwood, Marlboro.
Mike from Brattleboro.
Bill, Brattleboro.
Watt, Brattleboro.
Josh, Brattleboro.
Jeff, Rockingham. Jonathan from Westminster West.
Prudence Brattleboro.
Cuneo, Brattleboro.
Michael from Putney.
You back?
I'm Randy from Dummerston.
I'm Tori Manigan, Brattleboro.
John Brattleboro getting the numbers out. Oh, in the back?
Laura Brattleboro.
Okay, great. Good job. Okay. So there are actually some towns that are signed up in Wyndham that aren't here. I can't think of who they are off the top of my head, but Paul knows. All right, so 67 towns. We're pretty much going to hit, I'm sure we're going to hit 70, which is great. There's 246 towns in Vermont, so that's a pretty good percentage. So on the awards and recognition piece, first, everybody who achieves their target will receive some type of statewide recognition. My dream is to have a big awards banquet next year in February, have the governor handing out awards. He doesn't know it yet, but hopefully we'll make that happen. And then the towns that achieve the highest percentage of homes weatherized will get a $10,000 grant from Efficiency Vermont that would go towards efficiency and some type of public benefit in your community. So a typical project might be, weatherizing your town hall. That would be efficiency, public benefit. So that would be one of those awarded here in Wyndham County. And then the second one for the town that does the best job of participation as measured by the number of pledge cards. We have a $500 grant, and that'll go towards some type of energy awareness, energy fair, celebration type of activity. Okay. So those are the prizes, and we'll have probably do something for the statewide, the person who does the best statewide, some type of recognition. And we might come up with some creative other, most outrageous means of reaching their people in their community. What we have done is put together some frameworks that you can plug into if it resonates. Oh, that's a door-to-door. That sounds like a great, I like that. That will work in our community. So let me just talk about some of what these programs are. So the home energy visit, we're going to spend the last part of tonight talking about that. And that's basically where teams of 2 people go into a home and they identify basic energy saving opportunities. Are they energy experts? No, they're not energy experts. Are they doing an energy audit? No. They're doing a walkthrough assessment of the home. Okay? And believe it or not, by the time you leave here tonight, you will be able to do that. We're going to give you 5, 6, 7 indicators, if you will. For instance, you'll know what a box sill is if you don't know what one is now. And when you go in the basement, you'll be able to tell whether a box sill is properly insulated. You'll look, if somebody has an attic hatch, you'll be able to tell whether that attic hatch is properly weatherized and insulated. So we're going to give you a few kind of basic visual things that you can see. Not going to be poking around in attics and moving insulation. Simple stuff that you can see to identify, and doing that with the homeowner, as well as some electrical saving measures as well. So while you're in there, why not? So those take usually about an hour, a little bit labor intensive, but very effective because it's a very personal one-on-one. It's not like some theory. Oh, this is my home. Right? And I did a bunch of these in my hometown, Montpelier, and went to a friend of mine's house, and at the end of the visit, he went, I knew my house was bad, I didn't know it was this bad, where do I call? And that's the people we're trying to reach. People have been sitting on their duff, thinking about this, stop thinking about it, and do it. That's what we're trying to reach, okay? And very effective, because it's real, it's not in theory. Door-to-door outreach, the town of Thetford, over 2 weekends, had about 50 volunteers, knocked on 60% of the doors, around 650 doors, over a period of 2 weekends, right? You know, 5-10-minute visits kind of thing. It's basically what they call a canvas operation. I don't know if VPERC makes its way down here, but you know that's what they do in a large part of the state. Very effective way. This whole campaign is about FaceTime. Okay, we're moving away from advertisements in the paper. We're moving away from sending something in the mail. And what is this? Me talking to you, my neighbor, my friend, somebody who lives in my community, saying, I'm not making any money off this. This is a good idea for all these reasons, right? These are the resources. Your home is probably wasting money right now, right? There's no better place to put your money. Whatever. That personal interaction, that's what this whole campaign is about. And that's what it's going to take to get people to move forward. Because we know that information alone is not enough to get people to change their behavior. If I give you something, very few people, oh, you can save a lot of money in your home. Oh, that's nice. Thank you. What we know is it takes a little more to get people to change, to do something different. And part of that, in behavioral theory, we're going to talk about that a little more, is human interaction. Personal interaction, they call it social diffusion, is another word for it. So that's what this is about. And door-to-door, FaceTime, very effective. Basically, how your home loses heat, what you can do to save it. And one of the things I'm going to emphasize is what was good about it. We did hundreds of those workshops. We reached like 5,000 Vermonters from those workshops. But remember, those are the people who already knew in their mind that they had to do something, or had an inkling that their house was cold, were motivated somehow to come out to an event to learn about how to save, right? Like you are here tonight. We have to take this message to the people. Okay? That means where they're already congregated, like town meeting day, who's going to set up a booth on? Who's going to set up a table on town meeting day? All right. Reach 10%, 15, 20% or more of your population, right? We have to go where people are and give them the message, right? The Rotary Club. Hey, can I get 10 minutes at your next meeting? Tell you about this challenge and what people can do to save energy. The Kiwanis, the Ladies Auxiliary of the Fire Department. I don't care. Where other people are gathered, and then give them a button-up. 15-minute button-up, an hour button-up, right? So we have to take it to the people rather than expecting people to come to us to learn that they have a problem, they don't even know they have a problem. Right? Home energy parties, very effective way. NeighborWorks in Western Rutland has done a great job in Rutland with these. Basically, if somebody has completed a home performance job, right, they invite their friends and neighbors in, have cookies and cake, ice cream, kind of like a Tupperware party, and basically then invite the contractor in, right, and share their experience. Let them sell the job. By the way, I cut my energy bill 30%. And you know those ice dams I had? They were causing water to come flood my house? They're gone. Oh, you know those rodents that I had in the basement? They're not coming in the house anymore because I sealed up all the cracks. By the way, I'm warm in my living room. I don't have to worry about drafts anymore. Whatever it is, the great thing about efficiency is there's so many benefits to it. Let people sell the job. Let people sell the benefit. Right? Who are they going to believe, right? Very effective way to do that. And one of the things we're doing is we've reached out to people who have completed home performance jobs, asked them to release their data to the coordinators in each town, and hopefully over the next week or two, you'll be getting that information. You can then reach out to those folks and say, hey, how would you like to share your data? You want to host a home energy party? Can we write up a little case study with your picture and a quote on it? Right? Can you put up a lawn sign? Right? Whatever way, they're your sales force. The happy customers, right? Use the happy customers to bring in more happy customers, right? Phone-a-thons, people familiar with that? A little quicker. It's not FaceTime, not quite as good as a door-to-door, but still, it's a human interaction. Somebody from the town. It's not somebody. I'm not trying to sell you anything. I'm not making any money here. I'm your neighbor. Help us win this. Help us win this grant for our community. Whatever appeals to them. Partnerships between communities and energy contractors. Cameron was telling me that he has worked with arrangements with a number of the contractors home performance contractors in Windham County. Well, first of all, Efficiency Vermont is offering a $100 discount off the cost of all energy audits. Typically, an energy audit costs about, let's say, $300 to $500 range. So we're offering $100 right off the top. The contractors here are offering to match that with $50 off the top. And if you go ahead with the work, with $2,000 worth more of work, then they're waiving the cost or putting another $250 toward the cost of the audit. So that's what I'm talking about, partnerships. So basically, you guys are marketing agents for the home performance contractors, and they know it, and a lot of them appreciate it. And so it said, well, let's step up our game. What can we bring to the table? And so I heard a contractor in Waterbury. So if you bring 15 people to your home, it doesn't have to be weatherized, they'll give you a free energy audit. And then they'll sign you up, sign up anybody who comes for a drive-by thermal scan of your home, with an infrared camera. What do you think? Huh?
Wow.
Free of charge, right? Drive-by. At night, take a picture of it, right? So, so people are being creative in terms of how they're partnering with the energy contractors. Brattleboro's already doing some good stuff there. Vermont has these kits. They're basically 2 CFLs, an advanced power strip, which I'll explain a little later, a faucet aerator, and lots of coupons. These are being provided free of charge to homeowners that sign up. The way it works is they get a card, they fill it out, answer a couple of questions, and these kits get mailed back to them. Okay? So the timing's just a little off right now. We won't have a lot of these cards available until May. What you can do is sign people up. Hey, Efficiency Vermont's got these free kits. Are you interested? Let me get your name, and we'll get back to you. Okay? So kind of just another opportunity. Another point I want to make about this whole approach is kind of the philosophy behind this is we want to reach people where they're at. Okay? What we don't want is going to the door, hey, you want an energy audit? Oh, no, I'm not interested. Okay, see you later. You've lost the moment, right? So what can they do? Where can you reach them? So if you think of us each are on our own spectrum in terms of where we are. Some of us don't know what energy efficiency means, and some of us weatherized our house 20 years ago and we're net zero energy, whatever. So where are we on that spectrum? So we want to reach people where they are on that spectrum and then move them a little bit down the line, right? You don't wake up one morning having never done anything related to efficiency and say, hey, I'm going to go out and spend $5,000 to weatherize my house. It doesn't happen, right? It's a slow realization process. So, hey, I noticed on your house you don't have any CFLs. You know what those are? Let's put some in. Wow, those are saving energy. I like the light, right? So we're trying to reach people where they are. And what can you do? And that's part of what the home visit we talk about, right? So that's what the pledge card is about. Oh, if you don't want to sign up for an audit, would you like, do you know about advanced power strips? Do you know about getting your furnace tuned up? Do you know about basically opening your windows or closing your windows in the summer to keep out home? Where are they? What can they do? This is also an education effort. Believe me if I said PACE is coming, because credibility on that is shot. But it is coming, actually. We do have a financing institution. This is basically an alternative financing mechanism where you can basically finance efficiency and renewable investments in your home, similar, akin to assessment like your property taxes. And for those people who maybe don't have the ability to, let's say, borrow more money. So how many people are PACE communities here? I bet there's a bunch down here, right? Right. So we do have apparently a financing institution that is stepping forward. Details to follow. I'm hesitant to say when, but April was the last I heard, but don't go to the bank on that one. Information alone is not enough to get people to change their behavior. Think about Madison Avenue, right? How they get you to buy stuff, right? So these are a whole range of tools that, what they call behavioral change tools, some of which I mentioned, like commitment. I'll just give you an example. We know that if people make a commitment to doing something, they are more likely to actually do it. Okay? If they make a written commitment, such as the pledge card, then they're even more likely to do it versus a verbal commitment. If they make a written commitment, and then somebody reminds them of the commitment they made, they're even more likely to take it. And if they make a commitment and they agree to have their name put in the paper saying they're going to do that action, they're even more likely to do it. Right? So these are a whole range, I don't have a lot of time to go into them, of behavioral tools that have been integrated into the challenge. We can talk about it later if you want. I'll just give you another one, and that is social norming. Social norming is, it's like we do things because it's the norm, right? And I love to use the example about recycling, right? 30 years ago, we said, oh, everybody got to get recycling. It's like, yeah, right. You're not going to get people to change their behavior. Now, I don't know, you have blue bins in Brattleboro, right? You have the blue bins, right? You go down the street, you go down the street on recycling day, right? Almost everybody has their bins out. Why? Because it's social norming. Oh, one is a reminder. Oh, look, they got the bin out. Shoot, it's recycling day. I gotta get my bin. The other one is, I don't want to be a loser. I gotta get my bin out. It's like everybody's gonna think I'm some anti-environmentalist. They're gonna kick me out of Brattleboro. So that's what social norming is about. And the challenge with efficiency is, it's hidden, right? Hey, you want to come see my attic installation? It doesn't happen, right? PV panels, right? Solar electric panels, those are sexy. Priuses are really sexy, right? But weatherizing your attic is not sexy. It also is hidden. So one of the things we're doing is we have these lawn signs. So if you've had the work done on your house, gone through a complete job, put up a lawn sign. Social norming. Hey, how do I get one of those nifty signs? What do I have to do, right? So you're bringing it out of the attic, the basement, and onto the front lawn. I want to be clear that we want to make this as easy as possible for you. And so we're providing a whole range of assistance and service to help you be successful. And so what happens is when a job comes in, it will automatically get posted to the website. Okay, and this is how we're tracking. So you can see Allbird, which is up in Grand Isle. They have 23 projects. That's 3% of the year-round homes. 78 pledges. That's 10% of the year-round homes. efficiencyvermont.com/home energy challenge. So you can see how to organize a home energy visit, all the stuff you need. How to organize a community campaign. You click on here, there's a guide on how to do door-to-door. There's a sample script, which we're going to go over tonight. Right? Regional coordinators such as Paul, which I'm going to talk about in a minute, the awards and recognitions, and I talked about the case studies from people who have completed home performance. And we'll continue to provide this support over the course of the year, gatherings, workshops, sharing of information. There's one other kind of fun idea I want to share with you, the Icicle Contest. And a couple of towns up in the northern part of the state are doing this, where basically, this is a Jericho thing that they did, you take a picture of an icicle on your home, you bring it to town meeting day, and you post it on the wall with your name on it, right? And then the town people get to vote on which is the biggest icicle. And the person with the largest icicle gets a free home energy audit. Right? So that's the kind of creativity, we love that, right? So it's like they're poking fun. You think your house is, it's like, oh, it's -20 down in East Barney. Oh, that's nothing, my house is -22, right? It's like, you think you got a bad icicle, right? Wait till you see my house, right? So very different than, I'm going to drive by your house and take pictures. No, take pictures of your own house and show how bad your house is, right? So I just love that kind of creativity in terms of how to reach out, how you reach people, right? And not only is that a fun thing, but it's like, wait, what's the relationship between icicles and energy efficiency? I didn't know there was a relationship there. Develop your local plan. I showed you a lot of projects, types of programs you can plug into. You can use those or not. But that's how do I reach the people in my community? That's what your job is. And you're free to tap into those and come up with your own creative ways to do it. That's the timeline. So we officially launched January. Any project that came in effective as of January 1st will count towards the goal. And any ones that toward the end of the year, December 31st, also count. Right? And in between, the general flow here, I was talking to the coordinators, is the first half of the year is reach as many people as possible. And in March, we're going to do the March mobilization. And basically, try and hit 10,000 homes or 10,000 people across the state in the month of March. Because remember, anybody here, how many people buy a sweater in July? Anybody buy a sweater in July? I don't think I've ever bought a sweater in July. And I don't buy shorts in January, right? Same with weatherization. It's hard for people to get their head around weatherizing their homes in July, even though a home that's weatherized is cooler in the summer, but people don't think that way. So it's hard to get people to think about weatherizing. So we got March, last month of the winter season, to get people to still have their heads around the idea of weatherization. So we're going to do a big outreach in March, and then the second half of the year, a lot of the follow-up and continued outreach. And there'll be gatherings like this, regional gatherings for coordinators, volunteers alike to continue to share throughout the year. And then our goal is to have the awards and results by February of next year.
You talked about contractors making money and then giving a discount in return for the people that we solicit and get to commit to an energy makeover of their home. Is that it?
Yeah, the arrangement that worked out here, so...
I just kind of,
yeah, go ahead.
If I'm going to be marketing for somebody, I personally would like to get some money too if somebody else is going to get paid.
Well, then that would not make you a volunteer, would it?
No, it wouldn't, but that would be okay.
Okay. Well, then I would suggest that you talk to a home performance contractor and see if they need employees.
4, 6, 8 hour process for us. We go there, we come back, we write it up, we enter it into the computer system at Efficiency Vermont, we create a report, we print it out, we mail it off to the customer. It's not just, it's a fair amount of work. And what we need to do, what we're looking to do is, basically cover the costs and the expenses of doing that. And then and then sort of as an extra bonus in the bargain, we said, well, people actually say we're going to go ahead and do work, then we'd say we'll write off the audit and we'll take the profit on the work that people are doing as an incentive to get them to do the work, because we all believe in it too, but we also have to make a living.
Jonathan, are you going
No, I'm not a contractor. I'm an auditor. Jonathan Dancing, I do audits.
Teresa Spear with Evergreen Building Contractors.
I'm Randy Bright for Nora Energy Solutions.
Conrad Sheltema, Evergreen Building Contractors.
I'm Mike Elliott, Builders Insulation.
So maybe another angle is you're helping to support local businesses at the same time that you're reducing your environmental footprint of your neighbors and saving them money. So, okay, so I'm going to turn it over to Jonathan.
So there were not that many hands that went up about button-up workshops. So how many people have been to a button-up workshop? So really just a few. What the button-up workshops have been is kind of a primer about how heat is lost in your house and little things that you can do about it. The point really is only to be able to make some judgment when you're in a person's house about the basic things that might be able to be done to improve the situation around energy efficiency, to improve the energy efficiency of the home. That's what this is all about, but most of these things are pretty hidden. It's not like you walk in and there's a hole in the wall and you go, well, if we plug that hole, then your energy efficiency will increase. It's not that simple. And a lot of the things not only are fairly hidden, but are interrelated. And so there's a complexity to it that really requires some training to be able to assess. So this complexity is like a big puzzle. House is like a big puzzle. And you have to know what the parts are, and you have to have gone through this quite a few times to be able to really, with some good confidence, understand what it is that someone might have to do to improve the energy efficiency. And what's critical here is that all of this, all of the conversation that we're talking about, ultimately will, in a person who owns a house, in their action will require spending money. So what we're doing is stimulating the idea that they can save money, but the only path to saving money is by spending money in this particular case. And so we really want to get it right. And there's some very basic things that if a house hasn't been insulated or weatherized and insulated, that we can presume about the house. And we want to kind of stick with those things, really basic things, because they're so common in our housing stock in Vermont. They can virtually guarantee that if a house hasn't recently seen some work, that these things could be done and they could dramatically improve the energy efficiency of the house. So you're going to see some patterns and some repetition. And we just want to make sure that through the process, they feel confident about a few things as opposed to confused about lots of things. Because there are lots of things and that all fit together. But these few things are really important. But the critical thing for you is that the house loses heat. And it basically loses it in two ways. Through holes where the hot air flows out of the holes to the outside, and through conduction, which is basically what insulation stops from happening, where the structure of the house heats up from the inside, and it draws, and the heat is drawn out of the house through the structure of the house to the outside. So the two things fundamentally that we're trying to do here are to plug up the holes and to insulate the areas where the most heat tends to radiate out of the house. That's kind of, doesn't boil down to much more than that. Basically, the place that heat tends to leave the house the most is at the top of the house. And it does that because warm air rises up through the house. If you're standing in a room and you reach up above your head in the winter, it's warmer up there than it is on the floor. It's almost always that way. The air layers in the house, and the warmest air goes up. There are lots of variables to this, but fundamentally that's the case. And in a house that has a completely sealed roof where no air can get out, that's incredibly well insulated, and you heat up the house a lot, it gets really hot up on the top of the second floor. And a lot of houses in Vermont, that's not the case. You go up on the second floor, and lo and behold, it's colder. And the reason it's colder is because the air is just pouring out of the top of the house. You can't replace that warm air fast enough. It's kind of, there are a lot of ironies to building science. So, but what we're trying to do, basically, is stop air from leaking out of the house and insulate the house so that less of the heat radiates through the structure of the house. The warmer the house is, and the colder it is outside, so the greater the difference between the internal temperature and the external temperature, the faster this process of losing heat happens. That's thermodynamics, that's physics, the physics of airflow. And in Vermont, this is very important because the colder it is outside, the warmer we feel that we need to have it inside. So if it's 40 degrees outside, a lot of times we don't turn on our heat and we're comfortable at 65 degrees. It's kind of interesting. But when it's 10 degrees below zero, we want it 70 degrees in the house. We want it a little bit warmer. There's lots of reasons for that that aren't just because we feel that we want it warmer. It's because the perimeter of the house and the inside is cold, and we want the heat to be fairly even in the house. But we're turning up that heat, and what we're doing is we're driving the physics of this situation. We're actually pumping more heat into the house the colder it is outside. And so the irony of that is the colder it is outside, the more heat we're losing, the more dollars we're spending to keep the house at the same temperature. It actually creates pressure in the house and drives heat out of the house the colder it is. So the greater the differential between the inside and the outside, the more it costs you to heat the house. There's so much to learn. You guys are so far ahead of most people. There's so much to learn about how your house works. This is a house you live in, and people don't know how the house works. You know, as a contractor, I go into people's homes and say, I need to check the furnace, and they go, where's the basement door? Well, what kind of fuel do you use? I'm pretty sure it's oil. Yeah, I see the oil guy come, so it's got to be oil. It's amazing what people don't know about the most simple things about how their house functions. And they don't really want to know. I mean, when the oil guy comes, of course, it's costing them hundreds and hundreds of dollars to have the guy come, $1,000 the guy comes and does a delivery. So there are a lot of things that they don't really want to know about their house, and they also know that the house is costing them a lot to heat because of the bills. But Paul said it happens incrementally. People need a little bit of information, and you want to keep it very, very basic. It's hard to sell somebody on the idea that spending $7,500 or $5,000 or $10,000 on weatherizing their house is going to be the answer to their dreams. It's, there's a lot of things that people can do. There are a lot of things that people can do with $7,500. And so what we're trying to do is create a compelling reason to start thinking about this. And there are lots and lots of reasons, but the more that you talk to people about it, often they slip into this confused place. And we want to try to avoid that to a certain degree. So in very cold winters, it not only costs more to heat a house in a very cold winter because it's really cold outside, but because the rate at which the heat leaves the house is also greater. Cold winters, you remind people what cold winters are like. It's been a while since we had as cold a winter as we've always had. It's kind of, there are all kinds of ironies woven into this mix of things, but it's been warmer. Isn't that amazing? But it's easy to remind people that the cost of heating their home is actually worse when the differential is greater between the outside temperature and the inside temperature. Heat basically is expanding air. A house is pressurized when the heat is on inside. The warm air is expanding. The molecules of the air are actually expanding away from each other. It creates pressure. So the warmer it is inside, the more pressure there is, and heat is pushing out of the house. Does everybody know that icicles on the house are a fundamental indicator to heat loss of the house? But the fact is that, so what happens, everybody knows that we have these things that we call ice dams. I have dozens and dozens of pictures of houses with amazing icicles. They're beautiful, aren't they? So what happens is that this house has very little insulation in the roof structure, and the heat gets up there. There's nothing really to stop the heat. It's a really interesting house. I keep looking at this house. It's a one-story house, it looks like, maybe, with an attic. And it heats up the plane of the roof. It heats up the roof, and the snow melts against the plane of the roof, and the water runs down the roof and hits the edge of the roof where the temperature is cold. And people love this. It's horrible for houses. What's happening partly is that water is backing up into the eave and damaging the house. And a lot of houses have pretty significant damage because of this. A house that has not been insulated, these last few weeks have been fantastic for looking at icicles. And as much as icicles for looking at houses that have snow on their roofs or don't have snow on their roofs. And any of the contractors do this all the time. We drive down the road and you say, that house is insulated, that house is insulated, that house isn't, that house isn't, that. So I'm driving through Putney, coming in from Westminster West, and it's amazing. 1 in 10 houses has snow on the roof. All the other houses, the snow has slid off the roof. And as a contractor, we go through a sales process and we say, do you have icicles? And they go, yeah. We have icicles. Almost every house that hasn't had insulation added to their attic has icicles. So it is a really strong indicator, and it's something that you can ask people. And you don't need to get to the bottom of the issue of whether or not they have icicles, but you can remind them that if they have icicles, it is because they're losing heat through their roof. Especially with very steep pitched roofs, the snow will fall off before there is even a chance of having icicles. And we're just trying to just skim the surface of things that would be useful to you. And this is kind of about that. What we have, we refer to the walls and the roof of the house basically as an envelope. We're trying to envelop the heat in the house and create a structure that makes it more difficult for the heat to escape. That's basically what we're trying to do. Does everybody? No, everybody doesn't. But a tool when you go on these home visits, go invest in a really great flashlight. It's going to be incredibly useful. Yeah, great flashlight. There are some amazing flashlights out there. This is kind of the main tool with a little computer that goes with it that we use to determine. Sure. That we use to determine how leaky a house is. First of all the jobs that count towards the Home Energy Challenge have to be done by a home performance contractor that is a partner with the Home Performance with Energy Star program for the state of Vermont. Yes?
I have a question about that. I thought that you needed to have an audit done professionally by a BPI, listed person, and the follow-up audit to confirm that things were done to the level necessary, but that in between some things could actually be done on a volunteer basis.
That's absolutely, they need to be supervised, minimally supervised by a contractor who, the job needs to be run through the Home Performance with Energy Star program. All the work does not need to be done by the contractor. So in other words, the audit needs to be done. The data from that audit needs to be run through the Home Performance with Energy Star program. If work is done, work can be done under a variety of different circumstances. And when the audit, the test out is done, the final audit is done, all of that work needs to meet the standards of the Home Performance with Energy Star program, which is substantially BPI standards. There are people who get it right, who are not part of the contractor program, but it's rare.
Efficiency Vermont will send us a letter saying, we went to your job and inspected it, and here's what we found. So we really do have to make sure that everything is done properly. It's also, it's a critical safety issue for the people living in the house, and it's a critical issue for the longevity of the house too, because it's easier to take a 200-year-old house, insulate it wrong, and compost it in 5 years. So it really needs to be done properly. So yes, the strictly accurate answer is yes. You can have other people do the work, I'm happy to. Contractors are different. I, as a contractor, am happy to work with other people, but I need to keep a pretty close control on what's happening in order to feel confident about the result.
And on occasion, we have a homeowner who's capable of doing the work, and we absolutely, as a group of contractors, encourage that under appropriate circumstances.
And certainly there's some things that a homeowner can do. If a homeowner is willing to get up there and haul the insulation out of there,
that's right. There are lots of things. Guy.
Yeah, I'm assuming, Conrad, there will be a fee, though, that is assessed to the homeowner if they're doing for the monitoring and supervision.
Different people do it differently. What happened? This sort of opens the can of worms. So am I going to waive the audit fee if I don't get the work? I can't, because I actually have a bunch of time wrapped up in it. If I have to keep fielding phone calls and answering questions and doing site visits to make sure it's going right, I have to get some consulting time for that.
Just from Efficiency Vermont's perspective, so yes, the contractor is going to charge you more because they're going to be holding your hand. They have to do a midterm inspection before the installation is added, make sure the air sealing is done, et cetera, et cetera. So, but the point is that you're eligible for the same level of incentives as any other home performance job. So basically, if you want to substitute your labor for paid labor, you can do that. You want to find a contractor that's willing to work with you to do that, and make sure you have some capability. So the cost to the auditor is going to be more, but you can recoup a lot of that cost through the incentives through efficiency model, because we pay basically on what's done, air sealing, insulation, etc.
The blower door is the main tool of the auditor, one of the key tools that the auditor uses to figure out how leaky the house is. The fan is turned on, the air from the house, inside the house, flows through the fan at a controllable rate. There's a pressure gauge and an airflow gauge that help us to determine exactly by measurement how much air has to flow through the fan to create a constant temperature or constant pressure, and this is called a manometer. The bottom line is we're creating a controllable situation where we're forcing air out of the fan and determining where it's coming into the house to replace the air that's being blown through the fan, sucked out of the house. And we use the thermal camera because the air that generally, if we're doing this in the winter, the air that's generally coming into the house is cold air. And the thermal camera takes great pictures of cold air coming into houses. What the thermal camera does is shows us the difference between the inside temperature and anything from the outside that's coming in, which will be air. So if we point it at a hole in the wall, and it's warm in here, we point it at a hole in the wall and we turn the fan on, cold air is going to come in that hole, and the thermal camera will absolutely show us. You can't see air, and you especially can't feel it. It's way up on the wall. There are areas of the house that are hard to reach, but the thermal camera, you can hold it up, you can see an entire room. So the thermal camera is amazingly useful for being able to see leaks, cold air leaking into a house. Windows, Paul mentioned the box sill, but at the top of the foundation, stone, concrete, whatever the foundation is, there's this first course of wood, basically. And that course of wood is what sets the house. We set the house on that course of wood. And it's this piece of wood, so we've got this thick foundation, and then we've got the walls. The walls are on top of the floor. But there's this one section that we call the band sill, or the box sill, which is just an upright piece of 2-by-dimensional lumber, or 2 pieces of that, maybe 4 inches thick. And it's got lots of seams in it. It's the way that we built houses for years and years. And very old houses, sometimes this is a beam. And here's the foundation, here's the beam, this is the first floor of the house. This is an area that is typically uninsulated and typically very leaky. And one of the key areas that gives a very high return for bothering to insulate and air seal it and insulate it. Pretty key in the mix. And unless you see either some type of foam or rigid foam, this is a foil-faced rigid foam, if there's, then you can assume pretty safely that the house is drawing cold air in through that box sill. And if there's fiberglass, the fiberglass fundamentally is doing nothing. It's filtering some of the air that's coming in through the box sill, but it's not stopping the air, and it's doing almost no insulation. This is around the entire perimeter of the house. This is one of the basic reasons that people complain about the edges of their living room or their kitchen being cold. You hear everybody's got their little stories. Oh yeah, my dog's water freezes every morning over in the corner there. And typically, if you go down into the basement, you'll see some area that is uninsulated right at that spot. Ultimately, for the job to count, an audit has to be done.
Okay.
None of the jobs will count if there isn't a contractor and a customer agreeing on the price, which could be discounted, and the terms of an audit. Every contractor who is in the program, and particularly the contractors in this room, are able to move through this process in a way that guarantees results. It's very hard to do it without going, to get the results without going through a systematic process that involves the blower door and checking with the blower door as air sealing is done often. The contractor can make that determination, but it's very systematic and requires quite a lot of knowledge to be able to get it right. An average audit, as Paul was saying, is going to be, well, at this point, $300 to $400, or no, it's going to be less than that. 200.
All the contractors
250.
in the county agreed on 250.
250.
And also, all the contractors in Wyndham County agreed that if somebody does over $2,000, signs a contract for over $2,000 worth of work, they'll get a $250 credit on their invoice for the balance of the audit. And we all looked at each other and like, we're all in a soup together. Let's just agree on something to do that brings something to the table that also makes it easy. Because everyone had ideas. It's like, if you have 5 contractors and 5 different offerings of different things, it would just be a confused mess. So we just decided, let's just do it all together. I mean, typically, the average job in Vermont is, I think, $6,300. Some are a lot more, some are a lot less.
These holes in the ceilings of the second floor. And commonly, unless they have had a retrofit of this attic hatch, the attic hatch is just a hole through the roof. Again, we have warm air under pressure driving up through the house. Often these are at the tops of stairs. Stairs are like chimneys. The whole house is a chimney. You got warm air pouring up through this chimney, drawing cold air in the bottom. The house is basically a wood stove. That's why we have vents on the wood stoves to let the cold air in, it's called draft. And we let the draft in and it drives, it gives relief to the stove so that warm air can pour over the wood and increase the flame, and the hot air goes up the chimney, and that's what a house is. So we have attic hatches. If they're not insulated, they leak like sieves. They're one of the worst points of leakage in the house. And if the house is more than 10 years old, pretty much these things need to be done. Even in brand new houses, we see attic hatches that are just a piece of sheetrock laid over a hole. So it's worse than a window because it's up high in the house. So, it's a window without any type of air sealing at all, only in the worst conceivable place. So the air just drives up through these attic hatches. A hole right through the band sill. We see this with furnaces or with a dryer vent or something like that, where you can actually see daylight right around the hole in the basement. So there's a pipe going out the hole, and you can see daylight. We got this bulkhead. Bulkheads, we as contractors have seen the most unbelievable things. Holes, bulkheads, so that there's a piece of wood over a hole to the outside, and it's 5 degrees outside in the basement. 5 degrees outside, and so there's a hole through the foundation. And people go, well, I plugged that hole, and they put a piece of plywood over it. But airflow dynamics, you can't block the air by putting a piece of plywood over it. You can only block it by air sealing that plywood against the foundation. Putting a piece of plywood over it just concentrates the amount of air that actually can come through that hole. As important as insulation where bulkheads are concerned or with attic hatches are concerned is air sealing. Air sealing is the first line of achieving energy efficiency. Insulation is very important, but every contractor here will go through an air sealing process in the house before they'll start the insulation.
The Sustainable Energy Association has said for years that fiberglass is good as a furnace filter. Yep. It catches all of the dust. It does nothing whatsoever as insulation. It does not have closed seal, which is what other insulation
It doesn't give you the 100% cover, yeah. I wouldn't say it doesn't have any benefit, but it's not, compared to blown cellulose in your attic, it doesn't really.
It's not cost effective.
Right. Things like moisture. If you have moisture in your house, mildew issues, right? The contractor addresses that, or they'll at least come up with recommendations on how to address that. The idea is reduce the amount of moisture coming into your house, and what you can't reduce coming in, you ventilate out. And that's going to take care of a lot of those mildew and moisture issues. That's part of what they do. They make sure that the quality of the air in your house is good, that you're not basically sucking carbon monoxide back into your house to be able to provide the air that's needed for your combustion appliances, right? So what I'm trying to get across is it's much more than just efficiency improvements. It has a lot to do with the health and safety of your building, and that's part of what they're required to do. And that's why we want people going through a home performance contractor rather than just doing it on their own. You start monkeying around and sealing up air leaks, next thing you know, you're backdrafting and drawing in noxious gases back in your house.
You know, the energy audit's great for all sorts of, study and quantitating the air leakage and stuff, but it also, the written report's going to spell everything out for people because, all energy efficiency work is a balance to some degree based on people's budgets, their time frame, how long they're going to be in the house, et cetera, et cetera. So the audit can really help provide a roadmap of like, oh, wow, if I do this, it's going to cost me this much and save me this much, and I can get this much money from the state. So it really allows people to get all the information from their house and then create a plan for themselves, obviously in cooperation with the contractor that they choose. But it's a great way to provide a roadmap because I think people can be overwhelmed. You have all these people telling you all these things that are wrong with the house, but it's a way to just spell it all out.
Incremental approach, how do you determine that a house has gotten to the point where they qualify for this year's
Good point. So in order to qualify to be considered a project, Efficiency Vermont has a fairly low threshold, and that's basically a 10% reduction in air leakage.
What we've done in Rutland County and Bennington and Addison, but particularly Rutland, is sort of created this program where we work with contractors, providing training. We even make loans to contractors for their equipment. We do the marketing, so folks in Rutland County and Bennington, Addison call NeighborWorks, and we schedule audits for contractors. And it's been really successful, and so we're hoping to be here perhaps in April. So yes, this is, our audits are $100, and there are contractors that work with us, and they also schedule audits on their own. If you're a contractor in the room and you want to work with NeighborWorks, we'd love to have you, and if you don't want to, we understand. But again, you can work with us and also schedule audits on your own. If a homeowner does an audit with NeighborWorks and the contractor, and we also have loans, low interest loans, and we provide construction management if there's a loan as well. So we're just one more kind of layer to the project, and we're here to support the contractors. Something coming up which some of you may know, some of the contractors here in the room, is that we've also purchased this incredible software system whereby you can, at the audit, put all your information, and it will connect with Efficiency Vermont's Hero. So it's one time you put the info in, and you can do it offline, and then when you go back to your office, you hit whatever button it is, and it'll connect with, it'll integrate with Efficiency Vermont's Hero software. Because I know I'm also an auditor, although I'm not working as an auditor anymore, and that was always the big sort of pain. You get all that information, you got to put it in and write your report, and this will do that in a really nice way for you. So we're doing everything we can to support the contractors and get audits and help the homeowners with financing and holding their hands, and that's basically what we do. And we hope to be here soon.
And Energy Star can deal with performances of improvement, basically.
Well, Energy Star is a rating for
appliances.
Yeah, but I mean, it is a sort of a yes.
Energy Star is actually a program from the U.S. Department of Energy, and there are many different branches of that. There's the New Home Energy Star Homes program, where new construction can qualify. There are the appliance rating systems. There's furnace rating systems, heating systems, rating systems, and then there are home retrofit. The insulation of existing homes is called Home Performance with Energy Star. And that is the program that's started by the U.S. Department of Energy that's managed in Vermont by Efficiency Vermont. So it is one branch of the larger Energy Star brand.
Hi,
Hey, I just wondered, what is your source of funding and how this would relate to the Wyndham Housing Trust that offers low-income housing efficiency loans and SEPTA, a local program?
We are funded through the Department of Energy, and currently, and you know, I know that there is a NeighborWorks Alliance all over Vermont.
Wyndham Windsor is one of the NeighborWorks branches.
Right, right. So that will.
They run through it's the same, and there's a national NeighborWorks organization,
Right.
so they are all part of the national NeighborWorks.
Well, what we're bringing is Heat Squad, the program with contractors and partnering with Efficiency Vermont. We're doing marketing. I mean, you know, it's a good question. I mean, I know this whole audit fee thing is a conversation everyone's having all over the country that does this kind of work. But if you're a contractor working with NeighborWorks and we schedule 100 audits for you this year, and we, coach the homeowner, which we do, we schedule the audit, and part of that is just preparing them for what's to come, and then when the project's done and the contractor, makes the presentation to the homeowner, however he or she may do that. We also have energy advisors, and part of our sort of protocol is we also call them, and because there are often questions. This isn't to say that the contractors can't do everything on their own by themselves, but I know they don't have, at least I don't believe they have the kind of time to do everything well. At least that's been my experience.
I haven't talked about low-income weatherization. Okay, so people should know that there's the weatherization assistance program, probably most of you know that. For people who make 60% or median income or below, they qualify, free energy audits, free home efficiency improvements. Okay? Low-income jobs are not counted under the program because they already have a year-long backlog.
Folks can go on the SEPTA website, and there are the household income guidelines as to whether people would qualify. So maybe Paul could get that information available to different coordinators.
And just to be clear, this program is not available right now in Wyndham County. Okay, this is proposed. We thought we'd just make sure you were aware that it could be coming. It's up for review by the Public Service Board right now. Yes?
But Wyndham Housing Trust does it?
If they expand to Wyndham County, if it gets approved, then Wyndham Housing Trust would be the agency in this region that would run the heat squad.
Really?
Yes. Okay, they're part of the NeighborWorks network. There's 5 NeighborWorks organizations around the state.
Paul, can you talk about what the difference would be if a homeowner went through the NeighborWorks process versus if they went through one of the contractors here in the room?
Well, but basically what NeighborWorks is like a third-party advocate, if you will. They're like a one-stop shop. So if you call up NeighborWorks, the heat squad, they will basically find a contractor. If you have somebody in mind, you can have that person come. They'll assign you a contractor, right? The contractor does the work. They'll follow up the contractor, make sure that you've got your report in time. If you have questions about your report, you can ask them. They're a third-party entity. If you want to get a loan, they have, as Maura said, they have low-interest loans that are available. If you do that, they have construction management. They'll work with the contractor to oversee the work. So they're kind of a third-party entity, if you will, that advocates on behalf of the homeowner. We've also done a lot of marketing and outreach in Rutland County, kind of person-to-person, community-based social marketing in terms of stimulating demand for those programs. So.
If you do decide to use NeighborWorks when they do come into the area as your avenue for retrofitting your home, you will be given an auditor and a contractor. Depending on how you like to shop for things, that might not be an ideal situation, or maybe it is.
Or you can say, I'd like to work with this contractor.
Yeah, you can totally specify your own.
Absolutely.
But they're independent, so if you have questions in your contract on the audit, normally, and you want to have a third party look at it, they'll help you interpret your audit reports. What does this mean? Do I have to do all this? So they're kind of a third party, independent party to help advocate on your behalf to get the work done effectively. So remember we talked about this is a person-to-person communication, right? You have to connect with people. You're in sales. What is that person? Mary. She's, I've been in sales 30 people. We have to connect with people. This is about connecting with people. And you know, if you're trying to sell anything, you have to find where that person's at. Okay? And that's what we're going to talk about here a little bit. So we're reaching people through a whole means of personal interactions. Remember, this is how you do it in your town. You choose. I've just given a sample in there, whether you're knocking on doors, calling them on the phone, going to do home visits, talking to them at town meeting, you know, meeting them at the library, whatever. We're finding we did a survey. Comfort, in terms of reasons why people went ahead with having this work done, increased comfort. They were cold in their house. It wasn't the money. They were cold in their house. This is a sample script. Don't expect anybody to be sitting there, hi, my name is Paul Markowitz, and I am here with the town participating. But actually, I'll tell you what I'm going to do right now. I am going to do a little audience participation. This is my friendly homeowner, right? And I'm knocking on the door. Hey, how you doing? My name is Paul Markowitz. I'm with the Brattleboro Energy Committee. How you doing?
Good.
What's your name?
And my name is Eric.
Eric. Hey, Eric. I'm actually out here. We're part of this home energy challenge, and we're trying to encourage people to get their homes weatherized and increase thermal efficiency in their home. Is that something that interests you?
Yeah, you can come to my house. I can show you everything that's wrong with it.
Do you have you ever like had a comprehensive energy audit, or you know, a professional come in here and do an audit and have the work done? Oh. Well, you know what? You know, my understanding. I'm not a professional or anything. I went to training here as a neighborhood volunteer, but we've been informed that basically energy efficiency improvements can save 30% off your energy bill and increase the comfort of your house. And, you know, I was noticing when I drove up, they had this huge ice dam. Has that been there for a long time? Has that been there? That ice dam?
Well, actually, there aren't any at my house. But my roof pitch is too steep.
I mean, are you familiar with an energy audit?
Yeah, I've seen one of those before.
You've seen one, yeah. These things are amazing. They can find the air leaks in your attic. One of the things I learned was that not only does it mean insulation, right, but it means sealing up the air leaks. You know, because like on a cold winter day, if you're just wearing a sweater and it's windy, the air rips right through you. But if you put on like a windbreak on top of it, it stops the air from coming in, and your house is like the same thing. You know, it's like, so if you don't stop the leaks in your basement and your attic. But we got this really cool thing. We've got 2 volunteers. We've got volunteers who have been trained who would be glad to do a walkthrough. I can't do it today because I'm knocking on all these doors, but who would come in and do a walkthrough. We call it an energy assessment, home visit. And they would just do a visual assessment, walk through your house, identify some opportunities to see if there's some really significant opportunities for saving. And if they are, you know, then maybe I can make a record. Does that sound good?
Where do I sign up?
Let me get your name down. I got a sheet here to get your information. That's great. The other thing I wanted to let you know about is we have these pledge cards, and we're asking people to make a commitment to improve efficiency in your house. Would that be something you?
Yeah, just putting solar hot water in my house count?
That's a good step. It's not efficiency, but
I use less propane.
it's replacement. But yes, it's a good thing. It's a step in the right direction.
That's what I can afford this year.
That's what you can afford this year? Okay. Well, efficiency is actually more efficient, more cost-effective in general than renewables, but I want to laud your efforts. All right, let's give it up for Eric. Okay. Hi, I'm a volunteer. It has the Home Energy Challenge logo on it. Wear those. Okay. They identify you as a volunteer. If you want to establish that you're not selling anything, you're not trying to make money, you're there as a neighbor helping neighbor. That's what this is about. That's going to change the whole demeanor when you go to the door, when you're talking to people. You know? Because, you know, if it's, what do you want? Are you trying to sell me something? Right? You notice how people's body language changes. I'm not trying to sell you anything. Oh, I'm just your neighbor. I'm going around and helping people save energy. Oh, okay. You know, it changes things. So while you're calling, while you're visiting, give a little rap about efficiency. You know, you saw I threw that in there about whatever you think the appeal is going to be. Give a little rap about why efficiency makes sense. And the first thing is you want to get a sense, hey, have you gone through this process already? If they have, that changes the whole nature of the conversation. If they haven't gone through it, then it's a series of asks, right? The first one is, would you be interested in energy audit? Let me tell you what that is. There's a great deal right now that's being offered, you know, $150 off, plus, you know, the deal that we heard. Maybe that brings them in the door. I don't know. I don't know if I want to spend that much money. I don't know. I don't think I have a problem. Well, you know, we got some volunteers who could come into your home. Would you be interested? You know? So So you want to take them where they're at. If they're not ready for that, what are they ready for? Free home energy visit. It's like, we are not trying to sell anybody something they don't want, right? And if you get to the door and they say they're not interested, or you talk, okay, great, I'll go to the next door, right? We want to work with people who have some inkling that this is a worthwhile thing to do, okay? That they are open to this concept of reducing their energy bills and improving efficiency. And if they're not there, fine. I'll spend my time with somebody who wants to hear this. So, no offense taken.
If you come to the door and get 5 minutes of their time, do they get that kit whether they follow through with any more steps or not?
They can get the kit no matter what. Yeah, and remember on the kit, sign them up. We'll put you on your name when the cards are available in May. We'll send one to you. Yeah, that's perfect. Great, because remember, that's where they are in that continuum. That's all they want. What free stuff? I'll take that. And then they get that. No, that's cool. How does this work? I've never seen a CFL before. Oh, that's what efficiency is about. So we're bringing them. We brought them a little bit farther along. So in 10 years, maybe they're ready to get their home weatherized. Right?
So basically, everybody, any door you knock on can get an efficiency kit if they fill out this card.
That's right. That's right. Remember, again, so what we're doing, so we have a sign-in sheet, and I pass these out to the coordinators. So when, yes, oh, you'd like a home visit? Let me get your name and address, check. I'll make sure somebody gets in touch with you. Oh, you'd like a kit? I'll make sure when those cards come out, somebody sends, so we're keeping track of what their interest is, so we can do follow-up with them.